going to look at a pretty interesting 1911 style pistol. This one is the Springfield EMP, and I've got it lined up here next to just an old 1911 in 45 ACP. As a comparison, something to reference this one to. This one is your basic standard style 1911. This one, though, the EMP, is a 9mm, so it's a 1911 style pistol, but it uses the little smaller 9mm round. So we're looking at a small 1911, fairly pricey. I imagine these are around $1,000 when they're new. This one's not a new one, and I was able to take a look at one, so I figured I'd do a quick video on it. Definitely no expert on it, so I'm not even going to try to give you any specifications. I will just manhandle it here and let you see some of the things that I think are interesting about it. First off, when you grab it, although it looks a lot like a 1911, and I'm sure even on the video you can't tell a heck of a lot of difference until I hold it up next to another one. That perception is that you're going to be holding a 1911, and you end up holding a much more narrow both in just this direction and this direction, the grip. So this isn't the best thing to compare it to because I have a set of Hogues on here, but still, I think it's going to be fairly obvious that even without the Hogues on there, this 1911 is a bit thicker. And this way might not be quite as obvious, but maybe on the high def here it'll come through that it's just a bit smaller to hold on to. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. For me personally, I like to have a little more aggressive stippling or checkering or something on the front strap. It feels a little loose to me, a little sloppy to just have the front strap smooth like that, although a lot of people like it that way, so obviously they set it up this way. On the back there is a little bit of checkering, but nothing to write home about. It's not super strong, it's not super light, it's right in the middle. It's effective, it's holding the pistol in my palm. Magazine is single stack, 9mm. We'll go ahead and get this live ammo out of here and bring some dummy rounds in. Just take a look at the differences in size. Finally remembered to use some dummy rounds in a video. So they load up single stack as opposed to your double stack where rounds might do something like that in a magazine and be a double stack. These are just lined up in a nice straight line, single stack. And that allows for a more narrow grip, but it also creates less magazine capacity. So not a big deal, but can be a big deal to some people. The magazine drops clean. It is manufactured in Italy by Mekgar, manufacturers of quite a few magazines for quite a few companies, so that's not good or bad in my opinion. Quality, I would say. EMP on the magazine, just to identify it. It's got a fairly nice, what is this, aluminum? I think it's polymer, but first glance I thought it was even aluminum. This base plate. And we got the old 9mm Springfield Armory on there. Seems to insert, no problems. I did notice that there's no indicators really to tell you how many rounds are left. We've got the holes in the trigger. Some people like that. It really doesn't do anything except add looks to it. But compared to this plain Jane trigger, looks a lot nicer for sure. It's a two-tone, meaning that at the top is a nickel color, where this one's just all black. You also got your contrasting colors with your trigger and with your grip screws. It's ambidextrous safeties, which, honestly I'm not a 1911 guy, so I can't say I like them or dislike them. Half the time I think it's great and efficient and, makes it a little easier for your left-handed shooters, or for the person who's, even more so for the person who's right-handed, who doesn't shoot a lot left-handed. And I guess the best answer is get an ambidextrous safety, but still practice using it on the other side, on the standard side, which needs to be done sometimes. And unfortunately, left-handed shooters know that more than anybody. Feels great. The balance, very 1911-like. A lot of people like the 1911s because of the way they're balanced. We'll go ahead and turn that scale on. Drop the mag. Well, I guess I can just cycle the rounds. Seem to eject them just fine. I'm going to have to go find those now. And we're looking at 1 pound, 10.6 ounces. You know, 1911s usually get a bad rap for being heavy. 1 pound, 10.6 ounces there. With the only real difference on this one being the rubber grips, we're looking at 2 pounds, 7.2 ounces. So there definitely is a definitely is a bit less weight to this little slimmer 1911 smaller frame though. I'm not going to get into too much more specs than that. I'm really not trying to be a catalog. I just figured I had a little time with this one. Figured I'd show it off a little bit. I guess I'll add that it has night sights. The front sight post, it's dovetailed, so I'm a fan of that. It gives you a lot of options if you do want to replace it. This one happens to be, I'm assuming, the standard night sight in front. And again, 3-dot. I'm a fan of these. Not a lot of play between the front and rear sights. Sometimes you get a small blade up front. This one looks to fill the sight pretty good. So pretty nice looking. They don't bother with bead blast or any kind of two-tone or ridges or anything on the top. I suspect because it's so short, glare isn't such a big deal. Writing kind of all over it. Looks a little bit like Battlestar Galactica or something to me, but sometimes you can't really do much about that. They're going to write their names all over them sometimes. So I guess I'll leave it at that now. The 1911 style pistol Springfield EMP in 9mm.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.